When it's move-in day and you hand your new tenant the keys to your property, what you've done is basically marry your tenant. You're married to them for as long as they want to stay, unless you potentially go through an ugly divorce, which we also call an eviction, or you could be stuck in a bad marriage where you have a tenant that pays, but they're a complete pain in the butt, or they're destroying your property. I've been a landlord for over 25 years, and here's what I know. Your lease, that's the prenup. Every single clause that you don't enforce up front, we'll figure it out later. You're setting the tone of that marriage and setting yourself up for drama. Today, I'm going to give you my 5 move-in day rules to make sure that you go in protected, including the one walkthrough step that's going to save you and prevent about 80% of the so-called emergency calls. That being said, let's chat with Chado. Next, we're going to talk about the prenup. You know what I mean. You need to have a strong lease. And I strongly suggest that you do not go to Google and just type in, I need a lease for my house. Because you're probably going to get a pile of crap that's not going to be legally enforceable in your area. What you need to do is, number one, potentially join a local real estate investors association. I mean, if you're a landlord and not part of that, it's probably a dumb idea. That being said, go join, because they probably have a lease that they use. They probably have a lease that one of their attorneys that works with the investment association uses. And you could say, hey, let me get a copy of that lease. You might have to join the club or whatever, but now that's like a good starting point for a lease that's actually valid in your local area. Next thing you want to do is maybe you can talk to an eviction attorney. Go to that real estate investor association and say, hey, who are the top eviction attorneys in my area? And they're going to say, oh, this eviction attorney's great, that eviction attorney's great. Usually an eviction attorney will be more than happy to share their lease with you, because when they're filing eviction on your behalf, they know what's in that lease. They know that that lease is everything that you need in it when it goes time to file for eviction. And then another thing you can possibly do is a lot of realtor associations, and there's probably rules around it. You might need to talk to a realtor, but a lot of states have like a state lease, which is usually fair and balanced in most regards, but you're better off using an attorney-created lease from an eviction attorney in your area, or at the very least from a local real estate investment club that has worked with an attorney and has a lease that all the landlords in their club are using. There are a couple of must-have clauses that you need in your lease. Number one, pest control. You absolutely need to draw out who takes care of pest control, especially in a single-family house. They bring pests into the house because they live disgusting. That's on them, not on you. Also, especially on a single-family house, who takes care of the lawn? Who takes care of the snow? And by when are they going to do that? If the lawn gets too long, the municipality is going to be sending you a violation. The other thing is, well, who's in charge of batteries for things like thermostats, smoke detectors? Who's in charge of clogged drains, right? What happens when they put all sorts of feminine products down the drain and it backs up? Whose responsibility is it? Another thing that you want to have in your lease is commercial vehicles, because a lot of municipalities will get upset if there's commercial vehicles parked in front of the house. So there's local rules around that you need to have communicated in your lease. Another big thing is satellite dishes. Tenants love to get satellite dishes, and they just, especially think about it. You got a new roof, they're getting a satellite dish and drilling holes in your roof to put this satellite dish on, and then they move out and another tenant moves in, and then they get another satellite company and they just put a new satellite dish, and they have 2, 3, 4 satellite dishes on your roof. I'm sure you've seen that. Another big thing, pools and trampolines. Insurances don't like pools and they don't like trampolines. So that's something you want to make sure is disallowed in the lease. Also good to draw out in the lease, when are the garbage days, and what are the fines associated with putting out garbage on the wrong day? What are the rules around pets? What's the pet policy? What's the terms around renewal? When there's a renewal, is it automatically renewed? Is there automatically an increase? Is there an early termination fee? And most importantly, the security deposit. You need to make sure you're within the legal bounds of your local area for security deposit. And I always like to specify in the lease, especially if there's multiple tenants and especially if they're not related, who actually owns the security deposit. Because if you give the security deposit back to John and Bob says that, hey, I owned half of that security deposit, you can get yourself in trouble. So drawing out in the lease who owns the security deposit, that's another one. Another thing that I've done is I've created a single family addendum where all the important things that I really want them to know, because this lease has gotten pretty big at this point. So I also include a one-page addendum to the lease, which reiterates the things I said in the lease that I think are most important, so that there's no way that they can say like, oh, I missed that in your big lease. I have a one-pager with all the most important things in it that they sign on move-in day. That way they can't just say, oh, I missed that. I didn't know that. It's right in there. So I have a big lease that has everything in it, and then I have a one-pager with the stuff that's most important to me. Now we're going to get into the 5 rules that I promised you earlier in this video. The first rule, all funds are due before possession. What does that mean? Before someone gets the keys to my property, what are they going to give me? I'm going to get certified funds. I'm going to get a full security deposit and a full month's rent up front before they get these keys. Because you know what? Checks bounce and things happen. Oh yeah, I have the security deposit, but I'm going to get you that first month rent in a week. No. You don't have it all. You're not getting into my property. That is a hard and fast rule. Rule number 2, walk the property together and document everything. Every single room, pictures and video. Even better if the tenant is in those pictures and videos, so they can't say, oh, that was before I moved in, or this was from before another tenant. They're in the video, it's their move-in day. You have proof of it, because when they move out and you need to deduct things from their security deposit, you need to prove what the property looked like when they moved in. It's a great idea to get those pictures, print up a report, and have them sign it so that they agree, like, yes, this is the condition of the property. And while you're at the property, the most important thing is that, but the second most important thing is teaching your tenants about the property. These tenants have never lived there. You know the property. You know the property inside and out, most likely. You need to show them the HVAC system. How does it work? How do they change the filters? How does the thermostat work? Are there any special settings on the thermostat? How do you change the thermostat batteries to prevent you from getting those no heat calls? All these type of things are just so important. Another big one, where is the main shutoff for the water valve? If there's a leak at the property and it's an emergency and water's going everywhere, they need to know how to shut that water valve off so that the water stops flowing. Where are all the shutoffs for all the different fixtures? If the toilet won't stop running, where's the shutoff? If there's a leak in the kitchen sink, where's the water shutoff? These are things that you need to train your tenants on. Another big thing is, if there's a fire, where's the fire extinguisher? Do they even know how to use a fire extinguisher? And one that often gets missed is the sump pump. If you have a property with a sump pump, I've had tenants actually, if you don't explain it to them, they're sitting there and say, oh, this thing keeps going on and off, it's annoying, let me unplug it. Next thing you know, basement's full of water. They need to understand that this little sump pump pit fills with water, the thing turns on, expels the water, and then it shuts off, and they're going to hear it. So they need to know it. These are the steps that prevent almost all of these emergency calls I told you about. They need to know where things are and how they work. You can also just do they even know how a GFI outlet works? How many times do I get a call? All my outlets in the kitchen are out. Okay, hit the little button and reset the GFI. And we can walk them through that. But if you teach them that up front, that's, again, it's saving a emergency call. Rule number 3. That's the one pager I was talking about earlier. That one pager that is in addition to the lease that highlights all the clauses that are in the lease that I, as a landlord, think are most important. And on move-in day, they're going to sign that paper right in front of me, and we're going to go over each one by one. We're going to go through and say, hey, you can't put feminine products down the drain because it's going to clog the drain and you're going to be responsible. You can't have a pool or trampoline at this property because you know what? Insurance doesn't allow it and it's dangerous, and many municipalities don't allow that either. Number 3, pest control. This property is pest free. Any pests that came from you, and you need to deal with it. We have a policy that you need to have renter's insurance, and we need to be an additional insured. If you do not have renter's insurance, you will get a forced place policy as per what you signed, and that forced place policy is going to get added to your ledger every single month. The washer and dryer, they're there, but they're not included. If they break, we can either take them away for you and you can put your own in, or if you have your own, we'll take them away. They're not included. HVAC system, make sure that you change the filters every 3 months, because if you don't, The system is going to back up and it's going to fail. So you need to make sure that you change those filters every 3 months. Things like that. Go through that with the tenant, day of move-in on that one pager. That's rule 3. Rule number 4, the keys. Make sure that you have enough keys for every single occupant plus one extra. You got to let the tenant know, hey, these locks, they were rekeyed before you move in. Don't change them. Those are our locks and they're on a master system. If you change them, there will be a fee that you get charged for it. And these locks are not cheap. Also, you have an extra key. Make sure you give that key to somebody local that you trust. So if you get locked out, you don't need to call us to get you into your property. We'll come, but as per the lease, there's going to be this fee if it's during hours and this fee if it's after hours. And it's going to be a lot easier for you to have somebody local trust that you can go to and get a copy of your key. Don't just put that extra key in the kitchen drawer. I'm giving it to you for a reason. Rule number 5, do what you say you're going to do. What do I mean by that? Well, you need to enforce the items in your lease starting day 1. Anything that's in your lease that has a date associated with it, you need to enforce that. If you say, hey, the late fee hits on the 6th, you have a 5-day grace period. On the 6th, you need to make sure you put that late fee. If they call you on the 7th and say, hey, here's my rent, can you remove the late fee? You need to say, no, I can't remove that late fee, because you need to treat all your tenants exactly the same. There's no, hey, I'm giving you special privileges, I'm doing this special thing for you. Everybody gets a late fee on the 6th. What are the dates that you're going to file on? If you tell the tenant, hey, we file on the 11th. If you don't have your at least a partial payment by the 10th, we're going to file on the 11th. Do it. You need to make that filing on the 11th because you said you were going to do it. If they see you bending on rules and they in the beginning, especially a lot of times, they're going to see what they can get away with. Oh, maybe I can pay the rent by the 10th instead of by the 5th. If you allow that, guess what? Every month you're going to get paid by the 10th. You need to set this relationship up front in such a way that they know that you're going to do what you say you're going to do. They know that you're going to enforce that lease. And holding to this lease is one great way to prevent you from turning into Mr. Nice Guy that we all like to become. I know I struggle with becoming Mr. Nice Guy, but now it's built into the calendar. Everything that's in my lease that says I'm going to do, I'm going to do. I'm going to send a lease renewal 90 days before. I'm going to send a lease renewal 90 days before. Everything is built in. And you know what? This might be a bonus. Rule number 6, you are not the property owner. While you may be the property owner, you don't want to present yourself as the property owner. Because again, if you're the property owner, they're going to try to get away with more than if you are the property manager. If you're the property manager, it's a lot easier to be not Mr. Nice Guy, Mr. Fair Guy, but not Mr. Nice Guy. And as a property manager, your job is to enforce that lease and enforce the rules. And when you're the owner, they know like, oh, well, he's the owner. He can waive this late fee. He's the owner. He can do this. He can do that. Just because you're the owner doesn't mean the tenant needs to know that, because you are also the property manager. So I'm not telling you to lie to your tenant, but I'm telling you, hey, if you are the property manager, that's how you present yourself. And as a property manager, all you need to do is enforce the rules that they agreed to in that lease. Here is a quick recap. Make sure that you have a solid lease. Make sure that you have your one-pager ready to go. Make sure that the tenants have their funds before move-in. Make sure you document and walk through the property with the tenants and enforce the rules that they agree to from day 1. I've created a rental property analyzer that I'm giving away for free to you. So that way, when you're looking at a property and deciding if it's going to be a deal, this will help you know, yes, it's a deal, or no, it's not. That's available over at chatwithchato.com. The link to that rental property analyzer is down below. And also, I have 2 related videos that I've already recorded called Lease Basics and Non-Negotiables for Move-In Day. In the 3rd episode of this stress-free landlording series, which is coming out next, we're going to be talking about what happens when the tenant doesn't do what they've agreed to do in the lease, and they're breaking the things that they agreed to, and how you handle it as a landlord and a property manager. That being said, do all the YouTube things, like, subscribe, and comment below what you think should be in a one-pager that you go through with the tenant on move-in day. Now go out there and make something happen.